Hello, hello. This is Fake the Nation, where we talk about news, we talk about culture, and where we stand on the street corners of New York City, where temperatures gently saute us. I am your host, Negin Farsad, and I don't know. I'm like just built for climate change because I'm the worst person to have around on a hot New York summer's day. I'm so comfortable, and I have like part alligator DNA. I'm convinced of it. Today, we'll talk about a group of people who are surprising everyone at the clurb. We'll also talk politics from Iran to New York City. And finally, we'll look at the niche streamers who are eating the lunch of the big streamers. And I am so excited about today's panel. Oh my God, this is an old school panel featuring, we believe, and history records can show, not that I've ever actually looked at the historical record, I believe he was the first ever guest on this podcast. He is a longtime friend, someone who I've come up with in the comedy scene. He is a comedian, he is a writer, he is a producer, he is a favorite of the show. It is Benari Lee Poulton. Hey, Benari.
Hey, so happy to be back. And I do fear for you when you say that you have some alligator DNA, because I don't want you to get snatched to Florida as part of their new alligator Alcatraz with some sort of mix-up or anything like that.
Oh gosh,
Just watch out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There's so many reasons to get snatched these days. I don't want alligator DNA to be
You
one
really
of them.
never know. And the Supreme Court will weigh in. It'll be a whole thing. Folks, I am also joined by this gentleman who I've also known for a very long time. He hails from San Francisco. He's a comedian, a union organizer, and this is really exciting. He's actually currently on tour. You can find all of his dates on his Instagram feed at Mr. Nato Green, thusly titled Because He Is Nato Green. Hey, Nato.
Hey, Negin, what are the odds? Nato Green, Mr. Nato Green.
I didn't see it coming, you know?
I know. It was a twist.
But either way, if you guys see any of these gentlemen in a lineup near you, you should immediately jump at the occasion and go see them live, because they're so fucking funny. So let us get into it with topic number one. A retirement home in Belgium is taking its residents out to nightclubs, like proper nightclubs. They are 80 and 90-year-old residents. They're out there dancing to the club hits. And according to one article, quote, the men wore suits with pocket handkerchiefs, and the women in mascara and red lipstick wore chunky necklaces and tops with sequins. So this organization in Belgium is called Pappy Boom. They've organized normal outings for a long time, like going to the seaside and like having tapas or whatever. But those kind of felt a little bit stale, and they started to do something different, and they decided to go basically full clurb. What do you guys think of senior citizens going out to nightclubs?
I love it. I think, I mean, we're all gonna end up there somewhere, man. Just enjoy life, for squeeze as much as you can out of it. Honestly, I hope this like leads to, I think people kind of forget we had this whole era where suddenly it was like really cool in the 80s to be a senior citizen. You had like Cocoon and the Golden Girls, and then we kind of like lost it. And we went back to like age shaming people. Like, let's bring Cocoon back.
Also, can I just point out about Cocoon and the Golden Girls? They were like in their 50s or something.
They were
like
all
that.
younger than us.
Wasn't
I also
it?
want to say
Yeah.
they were all younger than us when they were elderly senior citizens.
I
Absolutely.
would have been cast in Cocoon. No, I know it's so wild, but I mean, they were there to look old. The idea, at least in the movies, is that they were old. Nato, what are your thoughts on that one of the things that this program talks about is new ways to cure the loneliness epidemic that's spreading not just in the United States, but obviously in Europe, where this company is based. So what do you think of plans like this?
Love it. I was just on the 80s. It was like a life milestone when I realized that I was older than Patrick Stewart was when he was introduced as the older captain in The Next Generation.
Yeah.
So and anyway, but
By the way, I find that reference very alienating. Continue.
okay.
I speak on behalf of
Oh,
audience members who also don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah,
But he
but
was
also
he
you
was
inadvertently made an alien pun.
yeah,
So I feel like you, as the
right.
consummate professional, know exactly what you're doing.
Um,
Continue,
s-
NATO. Your
yeah.
thoughts.
So, I mean, first of all, will they take my mom? Because
Mm,
my mom needs to someone to get her out of the house so that she just stops sending me at like every liberal podcast
four
that she listens
words.
to. Um,
In
like
real time.
yeah, like I get 30 texts from my mom a day being like, "Are you listening to Fresh Air right now?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, um, um, you know,
Oh, that's so
I
cute. Of
I
course, she
feel
gave
like
birth to a fucking union
right.
organizer. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
my mom constantly texting of just like, "I think Wajah Ali would like you." Like, I get I get those messages all the time. So
Wait,
someone
P.S. Does your mom listen to Fake the Nation? Because both you, her favorite person, and Wajahat Ali, her second favorite person, are Fake the Nation regulars. So I'm just saying this should
my
be
mom
on her list.
my mom's in the demo. So
Yeah.
uh
Okay.
the yeah, and I also think it could never happen in America because of concerns about liability. Do you know what I mean? Because you
Oh.
know that at some point in these clubs, like a senior's going to go out, they're going to be dancing, they're going to be like drinking some Hennessy, they're going to be fingering someone on the dance floor, enjoying some Cardi B, they're going to stroke out and it's going to be over. And like and people were going to be like, "Oh no, there's going to be lawsuits." But what a way to go. Do you know what I
What a way
mean?
to go.
What a way to
That's the
go.
dream. That's the dream. Also, maybe if we put them on the dance floor, it'll get them out of public office. And this is sort of the transfer that we need for the next generation to step
Oh.
up. Like, let's just distract them over here with the oonts, 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 and
A
then like maybe
program
we
for
can get some.
politicians.
Yeah,
Yes.
The
I like
solution to the
that.
gerontocracy:
yeah,
every member of Congress and U.S. senator over 70 straight
yeah,
to the club.
yep.
Um,
I would say one thing about the lawsuit situation is in this situation they have like, so for example, if you want to go to the bathroom at this one club that they were describing, the bathrooms were downstairs, and so they had handlers that would walk down to the bathroom with the senior citizen, and so they do actually also think about that in Belgium. And and actually, the other thing that happened in one of the pieces was someone took a spill on the dance floor, and they had to like send them to the emergency room and stuff like that, and they were fine, but it was like a little bit of a spill. I have to say, I mean, yes, you're going to take more of a spill when you're dancing than when you're not dancing, but in any of these activities, I'm sure. Yeah, so I don't know who bears the liability is probably taken on by the program and not by the club. So the club is probably like, yeah, bring them. The thing that I love about this is there's like the lost art of the intergenerational hang, and I
Hmm.
feel
oh
like,
yeah,
and this has happened everywhere. This is not just the United States, especially Western countries, where we've kind of created these situations where people in their 20s hang out with people in their 20s, and then you get into like a sort of other group when you're 30s, and you get into another group. It's like it feels very divided. And the idea that I try really hard actually to maintain intergenerational friendships. I think it's important. I think it's good for me. I think it's good for my family, and it makes sense, and it makes everybody feel better, also, like, because I want people to show up to my fucking funeral, which means I need to be hanging out with young people now, so that by the time I die they're at the funeral. This is all about head count, really. And so
Right, you
yeah.
need to keep cultivating that every generation because as you grow old, a lot of your people that you could rely upon just die.
Die.
They just
Right.
die.
And so
So
they
you
do, and
need to
I
keep
that makes me so
cultivating that.
sad.
Yeah.
my
Completely.
my
So just start now and get yourself some friends that are younger, and just keep doing it.
my grandpa died at 102, and like
Holy
for the
shit.
last 20 years of his life, every visit was just like him recounting how everyone he knew was dead. So, like,
That's
I'm glad. But he was still like at home drinking vodka every day until the last week of his life. But anyway, the Nikki, and I'm glad you're booking your funeral. I also think I just want to say about the loneliness
Yeah,
epidemic.
who
Yeah,
books that, by the way?
yeah. Um, uh, can I
Gotta get
just
a spot.
can I get a spot? I'll do like a tight 7 at your
By the
funeral.
way, if comedians think they're getting out of doing stand up at my funeral, that's hilarious because that is what my entire funeral will be.
Uh, I feel like we've come up with all these like euphemisms to talk about various social problems as a way of not saying that it's the problem of capitalism. Like, that like loneliness, social isolation. Like I spent a chunk of time living in Cuba, and I would go to salsa clubs and Cuban jazz clubs, and at literally 1 a.m. there would be 4 generations of a family there,
Yeah.
like hanging out, dancing, like every night. So it's like that kind of social integration is completely common in all of the global South, but
Right,
not.
and we're also talking about community building, right? We're talking about when you're talking about intergenerational relationships, you're talking about spaces in which people can come together over sort of common joyful things, cookouts, barbecues, block parties, things like that, right? So, as we as we lose public spaces, you have more manufactured events that have to bring people together so they can go to a thing and be with other people and just enjoy the company of others.
Yeah. I actually had the same experience in Cuba. I mean, I think Cuba is very special. I mean, I don't even know if you're going to see the same level of that in like Rio de Janeiro or something, but maybe. I've also spent some time in Rio, which is why but Cuba felt like very intergenerational, the hang, more than I've ever seen like anywhere. But yes, okay. I want to close by saying this. One of the precautions that they took in Belgium when they do these outings, they have people remove their hearing aid because the bass is too loud. So I thought that
Love
was
it.
fun.
I also
Precautions,
think though
guys.
that's also like the amount of uh, importance they put on enjoying the experience, from like your healthcare is taken care of to like we have people that will help you go to the bathroom to take out your hearing aids. Quality of life, like the emphasis on quality of life, is refreshing. And I think if we have more events or things like that that cater to not just the event itself or just existing, but the actual quality of the experiences that we have in
Mhm.
life, like that's better for everybody.
Beautiful. Go.
Preach on it.
Benari is interviewing for a job at Pappy Bloom, or Pappy Bloom. Okay, folks, let's move on to another aspect of culture, which is a little business, which is also a little politics, and that is that Trump is launching a mobile phone company. It's called Trump Mobile, and I don't know. I'm just find it baffling, but I guess, can you tell me what color? I'll start with this question. Can you tell me what color the cell phone is? Do you know?
It's
For
gold.
Trump Mobile.
It's
That's
gold.
right. It's
Obviously, it's
fucking
gold.
gold. It's
It's
fucking
fucking
gold.
gold.
To match
I'm
the golden
positive they
dome.
just took track phones to like put like a gold laminate on it and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and just scratched off the ACK. And I mean, he's selling burner phones to his people. Like he's literally they just leaned into the whole thing, and it's just like, just get yourself some burner phones. It comes preloaded with spyware. Like you don't have to click on anything. It's gonna just steal your data and send it to
No.
China and Russia and bot farms
Look,
and Elon.
Benari,
Well, also,
they need burner phones. How else are they supposed to engage in their opioid trafficking?
That's right.
but also, wait, Nato, I have a question for you, which is that they claim these phones are going to be made in the United States. As a union person, how many phones do you believe are made in the United States?
I'm gonna go with 0.
Ding, 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 ding. That's right. No phones are made in the United States. So I guess they're just putting up a few factories and just getting it done. Or
Yeah,
they're lying.
Yeah,
it's great.
I loved, like, I'm sure you talked about this during the tariff roller coaster, but that, like, that poll that came out that said, with, like, there was a huge percentage of Americans who thought there should be more manufacturing in the United States, and a negligible percentage of Americans who actually wanted to work in manufacturing. Um, so it's like, like, manufacturing is the ultimate NIMBYism. You know what I mean? Like someone
Mhm.
should do it, just not me. You know what I mean? Um, so, like, these Republicans love the idea of, uh, you know, that like bringing exploited, sweatshop labor home, uh, for someone else to be, put upon so that they can have tech or whatever, but they're not actually going
But
to do it.
and also that day is far off. We're working towards that goal. Until then, please spend $250 for a golden phone that you used to be able to buy for $12.99 at a 7-Eleven.
By the way, I think it's $400 is the phone. And no, yeah,
That's
and
if you
it's
want the
sorry,
top. That's if you want.
499.
That's if you want the top of the line spyware.
Oh, right.
That goes that goes like right to all the players. It's the signal chats with all the war plans are all preloaded on there as well. Like you get everything full
Oh
boat.
I
god.
thought the price of the phone was $47.45
Just
because
that's for the
Yeah, that's
plan a month.
the
sorry,
plan.
my bad.
You also
Oh,
get to
It's
spend that
so
a month to have this useless thing. I think
47,
probably I
45,
hope
so
Galaga's on it
stupid.
at least.
yeah.
Like I hope they just bought a whole bunch of just old Motorola's from 2003 that have just been sitting around and be like, no one wants flip phones anymore. I know how I
Let
can
me
get people to buy them.
Let me share this one last fun fact about the phones. They had a map showing the coverage area on the website, and then they ended up pulling that map when someone noticed that the Gulf of Mexico on the map was still named Gulf of Mexico and not Gulf of America.
You got to
Oh,
get that updated
Oh,
when it's
it's
your
so
own phone.
stupid.
Negin, when you started that sentence, I was sure that they were going to just say they put up the map and they realized that it was just the red line maps, of, like, covered white neighborhoods only.
That's fun. All right, let us move on. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue. And we are back, and we're ready for topic number 2. All right, we're going to talk about Iran. We're going to talk about New York City. Let's start with Iran. Now, the last time we recorded, it was sort of like right after the Israel strike, right before the US strike, also right before the additional strikes of Iran to Qatar, and then whatever the little other sprays that they did, for which there are theoretically very few or no casualties for those additional ones. And then now there's a tenuous ceasefire agreement, but also Trump yelled at everybody. And I don't know, does anyone understand or feel like they have a grip on how this will play out?
Well, first and foremost, I hope you and your family are all safe and secure and doing okay. Because I think when we talk about some of these things, it's very easy to gloss over the fact that real human beings also are involved in conflicts and and bear the
Yes.
brunt of the whims of insane people that run the world. Secondly, I also have
Thank
to
you.
mention that my opinions are my own and in no way reflect those of the United States military, the U.S. government, coalition partners, people real or imagined. They're just my opinions. So that
He
being
says
said,
that because he's a veteran of the Army. Continue. I don't think I
Oh,
said that in the intro.
so I just need to be clear on that. As I say, I think it's very hard to know what's the reality show part of this and what is actual conflict. I think there's a very real conflict. I think Israel is very much being run by a leader who needs to maintain a constant war because his people will vote him out of power the second a war ends. So he's sort of all in now on this. I think it's very interesting to see the distinction between who wants a war with Iran and who doesn't. In the U.S., there's a long-standing march for like the GOP to go to war with Iran, like just take out the regime. Like they've wanted this forever. There's a lot of hardline Iranian exiles. There's a lot of like hardliney, pro-Israel war hawks. There's a lot of like just like get the oil. I mean, John McCain, when he was running for president in 2008, made like a bomb Iran joke. Where I think he said like his favorite song was "Bomb Bomb 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 Iran." I'm like, great,
Yeah.
good job. Like that's 2008.
So good. Yeah.
So like, there's long been, I think, a march for this. I think kind of what's happening here is we're seeing, but the one major player who doesn't want this to happen is Russia. So what I think is very interesting about this is to see like what is this conflict like? Is this everybody's trying to save face now for an escalation that no one really wants? And the kind of like ray of optimism that I'm seeing here is the sort of attack on Qatar was very performative, it turned out, and that like that allowed Iran to sort of make a salvo and then say, okay, we fired our missiles now at you guys, but we're done, because a lot of they are mediators, right? That country, between a lot of these explosive states, like so this is a lot of, I think, I think it's very. I'm hopeful that people want to make money over making war, and so like if the Saudis see this as a path to like some economic security and stability, if they can see this as like a pathway to like deals to calm things down after everybody got the warmongering out of their system with, like, we got to exchange some missiles and now everybody can calm down and maybe we can come up with a long-term solution. I don't know what the answer is, but right now I feel like everyone's sort of making it up on the fly, and you're seeing a confluence of priorities where it's like one are just like, we just want all out war, and then there's another side of this of just like, hey, we can make a lot of money here if everybody just calms the fuck down.
NATO.
I think first of all, let me say that unlike Benari, everything that I say is the official position of the U.S. State Department. The greatest tragedy is that Donald Trump is so stupid that he has forced Negin Farsad into the position of rooting for the Iranian government. That's a tragedy. And it's like it's confounding to me that the United States has Donald Trump is so stupid that he's made the United States into a client state of Israel instead of the other way around. And occasionally there's been, since like the rise of Trump, there's been this debate about like, are they playing 11-dimensional chess? Are they geniuses? Do they have a strategy? And as it happens, they're incredibly stupid. And like Donald Trump and it seems everyone around him make decisions in this way that you would expect decisions to be made by like a horny chihuahua just totally zooked on cocaine. I
mean, that's such a weirdly perfect analogy, because I think if you look at the actual sequence of events, right, Israel took a very aggressive stance, but basically was able to just go all in and really wipe out a lot of the Iranian military force, and then focus all the attention on them, and then kind of maybe called up the president, was just like, hey, we're about to wipe like Iran off the map. You want in on this? You want to get on the action at the very end? And
Right.
Then we waited, and we're like, once everything was basically like there was almost nothing left to bomb, that was like, yeah, we're going to drop a few bombs at the end of this and then call it a win. And that's to me, that's the entertainment TV part of it. What is unclear to me is if they actually know that they didn't really do anything except,
I mean, immediately, yesterday,
something, yeah.
Yesterday, the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency released this report that said that the attacks on the Iranian nuclear program at most set it back by a few months. That they like.
Which is brutal. I mean, that's brutal for what we supposedly did.
Yeah, like our, that it was like the U.S. Our internal governmental intelligence agencies had that assessment, that they like attempted to bomb this like underground facility and just like blocked the entrance, but didn't actually destroy anything. And then the White House was like, that's not true. And in some ways, this is going to sound completely insane, but what gives me hope is the administration's commitment to lying. And that is to say, hear me out, that like that Trump, like he only cares about the narrative. He just
That's
cares
right.
about
No,
being
no.
able to say that they won.
That's
and
exactly
and
right.
like what keeps happening to them is that there's a like, whether on issue after issue after issue, is there is a point at which the lies collide with objective reality. Like, there, as it happens, there aren't many, like there aren't a million MS-13 in the United States to deport. So then you just have to start deporting people's nannies, and people are like, wait a minute, I like my nanny. You know what I mean? As it happens, tariffs don't miraculously fix the economy. Like, so it's
Right.
like
Look,
they keep having this problem.
so I think what we're at right now, and I think the reason why it's unclear, so there's reason for optimism, right? Because he wants a victory and he wants to be able to say, like, I brought peace to the Middle East, right? So the way you do that is by whatever you did, whether it happened or not, he's gonna claim that we did a thing.
He
But
just gets to say, I brought peace to the Middle East, and it doesn't matter what happened.
on the flip side of that, what they're in right now is you can't, if you obliterate Iran's nuclear arsenal or their capabilities to be a nuclear power, you can't continue a war with them. So one of the conflicting interests is you need to maintain the narrative of their continuing imminent threat, in the same way that you have to have like sleeper cells if you want to keep snatching people illegally off the streets of America. Now it's not like because it's your nanny, it's because it might be a sleeper terrorist. You know what I mean? They'll just keep switching the narrative. So you need these threats to exist so that you can keep doing the thing that you want to do. So I think that's where the negotiating process is in right now.
I love all of this analysis. I think it's great. One thing I want to say about NATO's position.
Please send questions to Nato Green at thestatedepartment.com.
I'll hit you up on Signal.
So NATO mentioned that it puts me in an awkward position of rooting for the government of Iran. And here's the interesting thing about Iranians, which I think, like, there's other countries that have this, but I think it's like a funny phenomenon, which is that I have been a fan of regime change since I understood what regime change was, right? Since I was a child, I was like, who the fuck are these guys making life absolutely miserable for an entire country of 92 million people? I know that number because Tucker Carlson repeated it in that clip with Ted Cruz. But the interesting thing is I've been very comfortable from a very young age being in this position of saying, I think that government sucks like a million bags of dicks. And I also don't want people to die, which is it shouldn't be complicated, but for some reason does kind of like throw people for a loop or something. And I think it's like a fundamental too of understanding refugees in the United States and understanding immigrants in the United States is that like people leave these countries not because they fucking hate those like people who live there, the countries. They hate the government, right? The government is making things terrible. And so what I feel like it's, with family in Iran, and thank you for asking. I post about this on Instagram because I've gotten the question a lot is, how is your family in Iran? And most of them are there, right? Which is that so far looks like nearly everyone is accounted for. We're having problems with one because of a communications issue, but we think that he's okay. And I can say that, I think, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Point is, I'm sorry. I'm distracted by fears, but I think that's what happens is that I am now in a position of watching this Netanyahu, Ayatollah Khamenei, and Trump, this throuple nobody wanted in the most complicated of situationships, standing in between my family's safety and me. You know what I
And
mean? And that is no, it's like, who wants this? You know what I mean?
yeah, it's almost like you made like a monkey paws wish of like, I wish there would be like a regime change in Iran, and then the monkey paws like, oh, you want one? And here are the people who are
Yeah.
gonna make it happen. You're like, not like this, not like this. And I think that it's also the human cost of it, right? The missiles are falling on Iran and Israel. Like Israeli citizens are bearing the brunt of this. Iranian citizens are bearing the brunt of this. And
Right.
then you got like, you got the president on the tarmac being like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't think a more honest statement has been made.
Yeah.
Like, during his presidency than that. I think that's the main fear that we all have, is that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So
And on that note, let us move on to New York City.
Yay!
Do we know what the fuck we're doing? We might. So last night, Andrew Cuomo conceded. Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic primary. And for those of you who don't know, the Democratic primary in New York City is usually the entire kit and caboodle. It's whoever wins it usually goes on to win the general election, which is why it was such a big deal. It got so much press attention. And Zohran Mamdani, a 33-year-old state assembly person, came in from behind and swiped it from Cuomo's hands. It was really shocking. P.S. Zohran Mamdani is also Muslim, which would be, if this works out for him in November, the first time I have experienced the leadership of a Muslim at that level. Nato, what did you make of these results?
I am fully erect. So I mean, it's obviously, like, I mean, it's so incredibly exciting, and to see, how the I mean, from afar, it just feels like the left in New York has like won these, against the most corrupt Democratic political machine in the country, has, like, it seems like they've won incredible gains. And from the vantage point in San Francisco, I am incredibly jealous and resentful, because we're like a clown show over here. And I say that clown show in a bad way, because I love clown shows.
Not the fun hipster
Yeah.
revival of clown shows.
Right. So, but I mean, first of all, I think everyone should acknowledge that Zohran came on the Bituation Room podcast with me and Francesca Fiorentini in February, and that's obviously the decisive thing that put him over the top last night.
Yes.
So
everyone was
that is the
talking
clip
about
that your
it.
mom sent me.
Yeah. Right. So, I think, like, that there's been, since the election, there's been so much like head scratching in the Democratic Party, like this centrist Democrats being like, the problem is that we were too woke and that we moved too far to the left and blah, 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 and we need to, like, figure out how to do some nonsense. And I just loved watching this guy. Like, he had a rap about his mom or his grandma or whatever it was, and, like, posting thirst trap pictures and, like, being adorable, but being completely uncompromising in, like, an economic justice vision that was totally inclusive and accessible. And people responded to it, and, like, watching my friends in New York get more and more excited about it, and, like, people volunteering. And now I am first worried that they're gonna do, like, there's a deep cut, but Ned Lamont him, and let have Cuomo run in the general.
Fucking
don't Connecticut us, bro.
Yeah. And secondly, if he does become mayor, like, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Ken Martin will, speaking of Cuba, will, like, Bay of Pigs their way into Brooklyn. Like, there will be like a SEAL Team 6 landing at Sheepshead Bay, Bahia de las Ovejas, to invade, to overthrow the Mamdani regime, because people might get affordable fruit for 10 minutes in New York.
So, Benari, this morning I went to my my coffee shop and I was having a chat with my coffee crew, and a couple of them were like, this is kind of exciting. A couple people were like, I guess it's cool. I'm like kind of indifferent. Because a lot of people are like, I mean, yeah, I ranked him. You know what I mean? I ranked him. And then a couple people were like, everyone's going to leave New York. He's going to cause a huge exodus. He plans on taxing everyone who can afford to pay taxes. It's over. New York City is over. So that, and by the way, I believe that is the general reaction of the finance crew over
Yeah.
in New York City. So,
I mean,
Benari, what did you think?
I have to say, it's been very interesting to watch that so many people who don't live in New York City have so many strong feelings about who should be the mayor. And then when the people of New York City decide who they would like to have the mayor, they're being told, like, you don't know what you're fucking doing. It's like, you know what? Maybe shit is too expensive. Maybe people would like some, public transportation that works. Maybe people would like affordable housing. Maybe people would like rates to come down, and would like finance bros not deciding whether they can live and die that day. I think that economic populism resonates very strongly, especially at a time when we have a dude in the White House who is sort of the final form of like the worst case of New York corruption, right? Like New York is both the greatest city on the planet in like many people's estimation. Certainly the people who live in New York City think that. It's also the cause of like some of the worst shit that happens, period, because of the level of corruption and the economic imbalance. And it's just, I think, people who what I found refreshing, putting aside there's some questionable politics that are involved in terms of just campaigns, and I really wish people would put the campaign rhetoric aside and actually look at like policy and governance. We have no idea what he'll be like. I love people like, oh, people are going to leave. People are going to, this is terrible for the city, or this is great for the city. This is an election. This is an exciting choice, and people seem to be excited about a candidate. So let's give that candidate a chance before we start submarining it. And, Democrats love going to war with themselves. But one thing that I found very refreshing here is that he and a few other candidates for mayor ran on loving this city. Like they ran on, we love New York. They didn't run on like, we need to be tougher on crime. We need the subways to be worse. Like, and you need to be monitored more by police on the street. He didn't, that wasn't his message. His message was like, this city is great and it can be better. That's, to me, a very hopeful, positive message.
One of the things that was really nice was that he was cross-endorsed by Brad Landers, and Brad Landers was sort of, he came in at third in last night's count, and Cuomo came in second. And Brad Landers was, if it wasn't for these two other guys, Landers is the kind of guy that would win. He's the comptroller. He's done his time. He's got a lot of experience, and he cross-endorsed with Mamdani. And he's also, it was interesting because it kind of gave the campaign this delightful feeling. I'm talking about for all of the campaigns, it gave a delightful feeling of just like, these people are not out to eviscerate each other. They actually are like, you know what, if I don't get the job, I actually think the next best person is this other person.
And what you want in a primary, but especially for the Democrats, is what you want is that sort of coalition building of like, look, I hope I win, but if one of these, people win, I'm going to work really hard together. That's what coalition building does. What you don't want is that fear of like, is Cuomo going to come in now and spoil things? Is the apparatus going to shiv this victory and snatch victory from, defeat from victory for this? So that's what I'm hoping. I hope we have the Landers vibe.
Can I ask one last question on this, which is that one of the reactions to Mamdani for some of my Jewish friends was that they were really concerned about his position on Israel and that he wasn't a real friend of Jewish New Yorkers. You're both Jewish, no? Are you both Jewish?
I'm exceedingly Jewish.
I am such a Jew.
This is okay, great. So I feel like now
I love the awkwardness of like, wait, am I being anti-Semitic? Like there was such a question on your face of like, am I being anti-Semitic right now? I can't tell.
But
But I was like, I think I remember clearly that you're both Jewish. But
Yeah.
Nato, when you had him on your show, did he talk about this? And what was your as a Jew? What is your feeling on it?
Well, I mean, as I am a Jew who just this past Saturday was part of 300 Jews who occupied a building calling for end of starvation of Gaza. So I'm with the anti-Zionist Jews, and it's been there's been this outrage. Lots of people have talked about the sort of weaponization of anti-Semitism by the right, and it's something that I've been preoccupied with, and I just felt like I've been going insane about this for years. That that it shouldn't be cause for alarm that they're bringing Christian nationalists and white supremacists and Nazi fascists into the federal government, who want to bring about the rapture, and start the race war to end all race wars. That's not the problem. The problem is, wanting people to not be, as you said earlier, my controversial no dying position. um, you know, so. And specifically, the thing about Mamdani that they focused on was that he said globalize the Intifada. And the thing that I track about the allegations of anti-Semitism is that most of the time it is not about what the person said, but the a bad faith argument about well, here's what they mean. It's not what they said. They never said what you think that, you get to define what they're saying for them and impose, well, if you say globalize the Intifada, it literally means kill all Jews, even though you've never said kill all Jews. And so I'm judging you on the basis of kill all Jews, which is not your position, but instead of what your actual position is. I think it's so dishonest and outrageous, and I'm glad that Mamdani both stuck to his guns and I think I think we're already seeing it, but this is going to be like a lightning rod for the right to try to get more cowardly bullshit Democrats to, run for cover, and disavow him, or, in the same way that they went after Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar in the most disingenuous, dishonest ways that in turn, laid the foundation. The way that Democrats were complicit in targeting, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and people like that for saying things like from the river to the sea, even though I don't consider that to be an anti-Semitic, rallying cry as a Jew, lay the foundation for the weaponization of anti-Semitism now to shut down academic freedom and free research in the universities.
And I would say, because I think that there's a distinction. Some of the rhetoric makes me uncomfortable because a lot of it is rooted in anti-Semitism. Some of it's unwitting, but I also look at people's actions and I see what you do when people push back on that or say, hey. So one thing that I like is in the discussions of it, he reached out to actual community members and he talked to real Jews. He didn't just take the talking points at face value. There was a discussion of, why do you feel this way? Why do they feel this way? I think his coalition with Landers is actually important. I think that the fact that a lot of Jews in New York City supported him and voted for him in this primary is important. And I think that it's very easy for the right to weaponize anti-Semitism when discussing Israel, because in America, especially now under Netanyahu, I support Israel's right to exist, but I've been very disturbed and concerned that Bibi Netanyahu has controlled Israeli politics for 25, almost 30 years now, which is, it's been terrible, I think, for Israel. I think it's been terrible for the region. It's been terrible for Jews in America. I think that it's led to an easy shorthand for some anti-Semites to use that as cover and concealment, but it's also been a great battering ram for the right, who are people who are anti-Semitic to Jews in America, to say, but I support Israel. That doesn't make you not anti-Semitic either. So I think,
yeah.
And honestly, it's a little disturbing to me that Israel's even a topic for the New York mayoral campaign. something that
Yes!
really has nothing to do with the international politics of that.
I would love for us to get rid of that in general from local elections. Like, stop asking questions about what they think of like international affairs. Like, they have literally nothing to do with it. So why does this come up? It's
So
it's
the
so
reality is,
frustrating
like,
to me.
yeah, you might have those opinions, but it's also going to be like, but what are you doing for the city and the people? You might be awesome for
Yeah.
being an actuary, so just go be an actuary. So anyway, I think that in terms of that, my larger concern is that I don't think he's the cause of it. What we have is a problem with a rise in anti-Semitism, and no one wants to get to the root of it. We have a rise in violence, and we have a rise against violence of all. We have a rise of violence against immigrants, people who look different, people who sound different, people who have different lifestyles. This is putting people at odds against each other. This is forcing people to be divisive, and it only hurts all these communities. And when we see a rise in violence, like, everyone's at risk. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I'm also with you guys of like a good no one should die policy. Like, people shouldn't be
Yeah.
hurt,
Oh,
and
so fun. I love a no
people
one
shouldn't
should
live
die
in fear.
policy.
People should live in hope and joy. And
Yeah,
so
and
that's the
also
kind
like
of thing I get
against
behind.
and also against bigotry in all its forms. So it's like, anyway. All right, folks. We've actually run out of time for topic number 3, which happens sometimes on this podcast, but I do want to close with one ridiculous little thing from culture. So we'll make this a little fake mini topic number 3. I have a question for you, which is this. It's a little quiz question. New Zealand just launched
I'm still
an
Jewish.
advertising
Was that the
campaign.
question?
Okay, next question. New Zealand just launched an advertising campaign touting that it is the best place to have what?
Mhm.
Yeah, they're taking their time. They're trying to figure out.
This is great. This is why we always do
could
game shows
be.
on this podcast.
I'm going to say it's the best place to barbecue roadkill.
Okay, so close. Benari, do you have a guess?
Best place to shoot a film involving hobbits.
Both of them very excellent guesses. The answer is that New Zealand just launched an ad campaign announcing that it is the best place to have herpes.
Oh, well.
Look it up. There are proper posters out there. Sheep have been getting all of the shine as well as hobbits, but no. It is the best place to have herpes, and it's they just won the Cannes Lion Festival for innovation, and they won it for this ad campaign. It was basically their like New Zealand's local herpes organization or whatever that's like trying to destigmatize herpes, like came up with this thing, and a lot of people got behind it, and they got some of their famous, I don't know, rugby players or whatever, like be in these ads, and I just think it's wild and really funny.
Wow. Come for the hobbits, stay for the herpes.
I wonder if there's a connection.
All right, folks, that is the end of the show. Thank you so much for doing this show. You guys are both so delightful. Nato, you're on tour. I want to make sure everybody knows where and how to get there. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, Negin. So Mr. Nato Green on Instagram, Nato Green on Blue Sky. I think my website is natogreen.net now. Anyway, I have dates coming up, working on the new hour in Sacramento, Fort Collins, Denver, San Diego, Portland. Dates about to be confirmed in DC and Philly. I will be hanging out in New York for a few weeks this summer, trying to write a book. So there may be a date that appears there as well.
Guys, go see Nato Green live. It is such an excellent experience. Benari, where can they find you?
You never know where I'm going to pop up, but you can always find me on Blue Sky or Instagram at Benari Lee.
Folks, follow him because he will pop up and then you'll want to know. And by the way, folks, I'm going to be, for anyone who's listening to this on Thursday, I will be hosting the documentary Emmys. So you can log on and we'll watch it stream or something. And anyways, it'll be a fun gig. Also, I've made a bunch of documentaries, so I have a thing or two to say about documentaries on that stage as I hand out awards to people. So tune into that. Otherwise, you can support the show by going to patreon.com/Negin Farsad. We have some incredible bonus episodes for you to listen to. And you can email us at fakethanationpodcast@gmail.com for any questions, concerns, ideas. We love it when you send us ideas. And otherwise, I think that's it. Otherwise, you will be back in your earballs next week.